Hey guys, Rob Mitchell. Thanks for joining me for this market mapping video series. In this particular video in the series, I'm just going to cover some basics having to do with market mapping. I've had a lot of people asking me about market mapping and making the maps available. And so that's what we're moving towards here. Yeah. So I'm going to share with you some of these concepts with the market mapping and show you some what it looks like using it. Yeah, and the concepts behind it. So, um, like I said, in this one, just some basics. Market mapping is about knowing what's normal or not, so you can tell what kind of trading environment you're in and make better trading decisions. Now, I'm probably going to reiterate that a couple times in this video, along with some other things, because it's important knowing what kind of environment that you're in, and the maps can tell you that. And I'm going to cover the concepts of how you can know that and how to use maps and how to think about maps. Yeah. And so this could be something that you're not used to, and but it can serve you quite well, as many have know and are asking about the maps and using them. Um, so I'm going to touch on some various topics and applications in the series on how to use market maps that we've developed. There's a whole lot of different ways that you can use market maps. Yeah. Market mapping is a broad topic. It covers a wide variety of indicator applications, map uses, and map types and uses. Yeah. I've been doing market mapping. I could tell a story about it. I've talked about it in webinars, but I first got introduced to market mapping. We're basically laying transparencies on our screen, seeing if you could find a match from charts that were printed off of on a laser printer on transparencies, and holding the transparencies up to the chart on the screen and seeing if you can find a match. That's how it started. It's come a long way since then, and I've developed different ways of doing this, but it's been many, many years, actually well over 20 years. Yeah, so market mapping helps to give you a vision of what the market's trying to do. So like if you imagine using a transparency and laying it over and trying to find a match, that would be an example of that. So that general term market mapping applies to seeing whether or not the market is matching or following what's going on, and thus what it's likely to do in the future, because the patterns repeat over and over again. So just as empowering, it tells you whether or not it's behaving normally or not. And that's a real big one right there, is the market behaving normally or not. And that's super important because it gives you a reference for what kind of environment that you're in and can help you to select the right strategy for the situation you're in. Yeah. It can be like having a roadmap of the market. That's another way that you could think of it, as a metaphor, like driving with a GPS. But what does a GPS do? Well, it first off knows where you are. Yeah, it starts with that. Where are you, so that I can point you, put a pinpoint as to where you are on the map, so that you can see where you're going from that point forward, right? So what's the environment that you're in? What's the surrounding like? And how can you use that to go forward, and the best way to get there, and to also let you know whether or not you're getting off course. All these kinds of concepts apply to market mapping. Yeah. And so there's many ways to read this from the maps. In fact, probably more ways than I have ever imagined. Yeah. But in the series, I'm going to cover, I don't know, I got quite a few of them that I brainstormed that I'm going to share with you. Yeah, just short little videos. This will probably be the longest one by far. So there's a variety of forms and applications of market mapping that can help empower your trading with many statistics or stats from the maps. I only use things 80, 90, and 100% on the maps. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that these 80, 90, and 100% numbers come up so commonly that we actually consider them to be normal. Now, that's a funny thing to say, because in statistics, normal is random. Yeah, normal is random. But when it comes to market mapping, normal is not random. We're using the not random part, or we're staying away from the parts that are random. We're looking for parts that have high probabilities normally. Yeah, and that's one way of looking at this concept of what's normal. Yeah. And because if you're using the GPS metaphor, You know, if there was a gigantic storm or a meteor coming across the road or something like that, you'd want to know about it, right? So now maps don't know what's happening external to themselves, and that's why we interpret them with respect to where we are in the market. Yeah. So when the market moves successively and it's following a map, it tends to follow the map, and the prediction of the map tends to play out. Yeah. Market mapping, it's not an indicator in the traditional sense. Some of these predictive maps are published a week in advance, and it's not like an indicator. Yeah, the thing about indicators as a general rule do not publish or print forward. Yeah, they do not print forward, and so these maps, I actually generate them a week in advance. Yeah, and so it's kind of cool to have a roadmap of the market up to a week in advance. And we also use it that way each period of the day interpretively, and I'm going to discuss that in a minute. Now, this is a map. This is a ultra map on the E-mini S&P. Okay, and this is for a period. Now, these times are in my local time. And so, like if you're in East Coast time or something, you'd add 3 hours to that. But you can use, that's the reason it's got the letter there. A period is the first 30-minute period of the day. So what this map is telling us here is that 100% of the time, the A period of the day takes out going back to -8 period of the day. Yeah. Now, I didn't show it all the way back there, but the key here is these X's, yeah? So from the extreme of the -5 period, or from the extreme of -4, etc., I expect to go out to or toward -1 period. Now, the minimum thing that I call a walk here is the -3 walks out to -1 at 90% and then walks out one more at 100% historically. Yeah, historically. And it does that most of the time. This particular map is for a Monday, and I just have this little excerpt of it here. Now, another concept that you have here is once this period gets broken, B period of the day gets broken, it does not tend to go out the other side for the rest of the day pretty much at 80%. Yeah. And so those are just a couple of ways of using the map. And then walking forward at 80%. And those kinds of things. But the video series will cover some of these things in more detail. Yeah. Some of the maps are designed for trading and doing analysis and prediction around the clock. In other words, they start at the beginning of the Globex session. So like if you want to trade in the middle of the night, you can use the maps to do that in addition to the day sessions. And or the European, so what we call the European session starts at around midnight my time. A few hours earlier out on the East Coast, yeah. And so you can actually use the maps in a way to find out what kind of opportunity is available during those intervals of time. And so the maps can be used in that way as well, in addition to just seeing what kind of a pattern I expect going out over the next several periods or something like that. I can look at it in a broad stroke fashion. What do I expect to see or to happen over large periods of time? And is there enough opportunity there for me to be spending my time on it? Yeah, so that's a pretty major thing with the maps as well. Now, the maps can be used to identify those opportunities and determine trading viability for any time of the day. These videos cover a handful of these concepts and beyond just that as well. So a lot of the concepts might be new, and I recommend going through the entire video series that I'm putting together and recording these videos for you to learn a little bit more about market mapping and how it works. Yeah, there's probably something here for everyone. In fact, I'm so sure that there's something here for everyone that I think everybody should have market maps. Yeah, everybody should have market maps because it lets you know where you are. Yeah, and that's a major problem that traders have. So each of the videos in the series beyond this introduction stand on their own. So the video stands on their own. And you don't need to watch all of them, and you don't necessarily need to watch them in a certain order, though I do recommend that this video be the first one. Yeah. Generally you watch all the videos, and then you're gonna, some of them gonna resonate with you more than others, and the other ones will just be planting seeds for you to learn more about mapping and how markets form themselves as you go forward. So would these videos be just for somebody who's only interested in market mapping? Not really, because what we're talking about is concepts about how markets organize themselves. Yeah, and we're going to get to that a little bit more in a second. Market mapping should be part of a larger overall strategy. It should be combined with the right strategy or signaling method for the kind of market situation that you're in. So how do I use these maps? Each day, each 30-minute period, in about the last 5 minutes, I don't even use a timer to do it or anything. It's just automatic for me. When I see we're getting to the end of the period, I go in, I see it's like 5 minutes till the end of the period, 4 minutes to the end of the period. I go in and I glance at my maps, you know, and that gives me a view forward for the future. And so I'm going to cover the 3 main things that I'm looking for when I glance at those maps, but it doesn't take a lot of time. It only takes a few moments to do it. And when you do this activity, it gives you a reference for where you are, you know, which is back to the GPS metaphor, and what the market may be trying to do, and what is the most likely direction for range expansion, giving that insight. Yeah. Now, in this way, a main core concept about market mapping is not whether or not the market blindly follows a map, but whether or not the market is following the map right now, or if it's giving you clues that it is following the map. Yeah. So the intent of the map is to help you understand this in pursuit of the core trading question: what's the market trying to do? Yeah. What's the market trying to do? Now, when a trader has a vision forward, what's the market trying to do? What's the most likely direction for range expansion? Having a vision forward, that's an experience that a lot of traders, a surprisingly huge number of traders, have never experienced. But this having a forward vision can really be a big game changer for a lot of traders. Yeah. Traders who do not have a vision forward can easily be in the past tense and actually even not even be aware of it. Be repeating a behavior over and over and over again that's actually in the past tense when they think that they're actually in the present tense. And this kind of thing is not a good situation for a trader. Market maps are best used to determine if you're in a normal market environment or not. I alluded to that earlier. We're going to get in touch on a little bit more detail. So for that, there's 3 general cases. Number 1, we're ahead of the map, and we've potentially arrived early in price, time, or both. Yeah, you're ahead of the map. You arrived early. Now, if you're in your car and you're navigating, you know, going back to the GPS, you're in your car and you arrive early, what do? You know, you have an appointment at 9 o'clock and you arrived at 8:30. What are you going to do? Well, you're not going to show up for the appointment 30 minutes early, probably, unless it's somebody that you know really well and it's all casual. But if you're showing up for an actual appointment, you're going to wait. Yeah, well, that's what the market will often do. The market behaves like people behave. And so it's nice to know if you have arrived early at your destination. So the maps can help you with that, because the market is not normally arriving early. Yeah. So it's not normal when it arrives early. So the next one would be we're behind. The market's not arriving early. It's actually lagging and not meeting the statistics, say for like ranges. Yeah. And so under that circumstance, the minute that you see that you have not made the expected range, you know that this is happening before it even anybody else out there is even onto it. Yeah. Because the statistics are so commonly followed, they're so normally followed, that when they don't follow, you know it like really fast. Yeah. And so that's a warning sign to you that the market is likely in this circumstance dominated by counter trend players or traders that are playing the market from the outsides. That's an entirely different market environment than one that is trending, and it's super important to know when that's happening. Maps let you know that's happening or not really fast. Yeah. So we're following, that's the case number 3, we're following and we're behaving normally. Now for this case, if we're making the stats with respect to ranges and extremes and all the different things that we map, including respecting what is happening on the charts, consider then that we will look to continue the pattern. And what's remarkable about this is that when you are following that normal case, it follows through with an extremely high probability, even though when it's behaving normally like that, it's making normal ranges. And a market that's making normal ranges tends to make normal ranges over and over and over again at a probability that's higher than normal. Yeah. So in that third case, what happens is you actually get abnormally high normal statistics. To put it another way, medians will end up being hit, median ranges or extensions will end up being hit at an abnormally high percentage rate. Yeah. And this is actually, that third one there is actually probably the most ideal of the 3 cases. Yeah. So, so by knowing what kind of trading environment we're in, we can determine the best strategy. Yeah. Now, at the core of it, we ask, and it's really good if a trader can get these ideas drilled into the head. Yeah. What's the market trying to do with respect to the charts and with respect to the maps? Because when those 2 things match, they will tend to continue to match. When they don't match, watch out, you'll get some, probability that you're going to get some weird stuff, crazy stuff, goes way up. In other words, following the map or not is giving you information about whether or not the participants know what to do. And so, and answering the question, what's the most likely direction for range expansion for the market? Which is actually such a fundamental concept. What's the most likely direction for range expansion? It may seem kind of moot, but the notion of that is that there's no such thing as a market that doesn't expand its range. The question is, how is it going to do it? And that's what the maps are helping us with. Yeah. So I teach these market mapping concepts and applications in the trading room, where nuances of mapping, market interpretation, and strategy can be applied. For applications in any market, we happen to use a crude oil market for that. Why? Because it's very statistically consistent. Yeah. And so actually the main focus of my trading room is in a live environment is interpreting and using maps. Yeah. And the trading room includes maps for the crude oil market. Yeah. Now the maps that we're making available, there's quite a few of them. Yeah. So you can take a look at that later if this resonates with you. Now, last but not least, it's important with mapping, and just like I was saying with mapping, you want to see whether or not you're following. Well, you want to have a little bit of experience with the maps before you just go trade with it. Yeah. So we have a saying, and we've been using for a long time: always test before you trade, and trade the way you test. What is that? That's like a rehearsal for an athlete. Yeah. You know that you can complete the journey given the appropriate information for commencing the journey. So, all right, guys, you can subscribe to the market maps at IndicatorSmart.com/market mapping. Yeah. IndicatorSmart.com/market mapping. And advanced market mapping training in the oil trading room, as I had just mentioned. Yeah, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this video series on market mapping. Watch them all, And if you have any questions, of course, reach out. We're always happy to help. Yeah, so IndicatorSmart.com/market mapping. Thank you for joining me for this video and letting me share some things that I'm super passionate about. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one.